doesn't have where I can go do a watch party. Oh, it started. Okay.
Hello?
Don't do that, sorry. Hello, 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 hello. I'm trying to wait for everybody to, a couple people to get in here. Although, I don't really know if people are in here or not. But, so I'm gonna go ahead and start. So tonight, tonight live is all about Curtis Carroll. And if you guys are not familiar, I put his picture up. I thought I'd go back to my post, and you will see a picture of this young man, a 42-year-old that has been in prison since he was 15 in juvenile, and then he went to prison. And I decided to do this live tonight about Curtis Carroll because he is actually up for parole in 2020. When he first went in, they told him that he would not see the light of day until 2054. He had 54 years to life in prison. And so, hi, thank you for joining me. And so tonight I want to give my platform, which is not very big, but I believe with everybody watching, and if you are watching, please do a watch party, because we need to get this information and understand why it is so important to know who this young man is, Curtis Carroll. Curtis Carroll, aka Wall Street. That is his, that's one of his names that was given to him while he was in prison. And another name, which is a new, this new, I guess, aka, hey Angela, this new aka that that they gave him is the Oracle of San Quentin. Now, how special is it to be known in Silicon Valley? This young man has actually did a TED Talk as well about his life from prison, okay? And to be known in Silicon Valley, to be known by Bill Gates as well as Warren Buffett, know of him because of all of the articles that went out around 2014, 2015 about him. And I'm gonna give you some background on Curtis Carroll. Curtis Carroll, aka Wall Street, aka Oracle of San Quentin. He went to prison at the age of, he went to juvenile at the age of 15, then he went to prison at the age of 17. And the reason why he went to prison is because it was first degree murder. It was crime, robbery, and murder. And he started out at a very young age, not going to school. His mother was on crack. His grandmother was on crack. His father and uncles were on crack. And all he knew was the streets. And back in with kids born in the 70s and back in the 80s, this is a life that we all know so well. And maybe you don't know the life, but you know someone who had this type of lifestyle, who had parents on drugs, who had parents that did not care. You know someone like this, even if it was not you. But still, if you were born back in the 70s, your life was impacted at some way of fashion, whether you had two parents at home, one parent at home, you was raised by your grandparents, or your parents was there and not there. Your life was still impacted at some form of fashion, okay? And and Curtis, he first started off robbing vending machines. And the first time he went to jail was because he robbed a vending machine, and he went and robbed the vending machine, and then he got away with it. And his uncle said, "Is that everything?" And he said, "No, I left a few." And he said, "Well, why did you leave a few of them?" And then he went back and he robbed the same vending machine and got all the quarters, but he got so much that it was so heavy he couldn't even run because he was so young. He couldn't even run with all the quarters, and he got caught. So that was one time. And then he went back to juvenile another time. And then he never had anyone to say no role models, he said in his interview, There were no role models for him. There were no doctors, no lawyers, no one that he knew of. He didn't see, the internet was not like it is today. So there was really no way of researching real people out there that could give him a different way of life, a different way of looking at life. And his motto was, how he said in his household, he was taught police and white people were the enemy. And I know growing up in the 80s, a lot of children, a lot of parents taught their kids the same values. Police and white people are the enemies. And the reason why I know, because it's still taught today. Police and white people are the enemies. And not only are police and white people are the enemies, but white people have it all. White people have it all. So if they have it all, then they can share the stuff that they have. They're not going to miss it. And that's, you know, I mean, and if you go back and if you've been watching me on my lives, you know that I wrote in my book, Numbers, Angels, and God, that how do I want to say it? Even in my book, I used to say I wanted to be the first garbage collector, first black woman garbage collector that could ride on the back of the garbage truck. Because I knew, and I was really young, I think I was like 8 years old, but because I knew that garbage truck came through our neighborhood, and it also had to go through all the rich white people's neighborhoods as well, and see all the pretty, because everybody has garbage, right? And so that was one of my reasons for saying that I wanted to be the first black garbage collector that could ride on the back of the truck, so I can be able to explore and go to all these houses and see how these other people live, something outside of my neighborhood. Even though I was not living in a really, really bad neighborhood, but still, it was still all that I saw. I went to school with majority black kids, and I did not get an outlook on other things unless I went to beg to go to the library, and I was able to get books that gave me a different way of looking at the world. And so back to Curtis, not having any role models, not having any training, not really going to school, he got caught. He got caught up. And what happened was he really didn't go into it, but he just said he was trying to get food. And he robbed this house to get drugs. Someone told them that there were a lot of dope in this house. But when he went into the house, he thought he was going to see a drug house. He thought he was going to see, you know, this big drug lord house. But he said when he opened up the cabinets, he saw cereal and all this food. And so that's what he ended up taking, food instead of the drugs. And somehow, some way, someone got killed. And he ended up going to prison. Well, when he went to prison at 15 and then 17, he was illiterate. He didn't even know how to read or write, which is the #1 cause why people are in prison, you know, from back in that era, from the ones that are in their 40s, because they never knew how to read or write. They didn't have role models. They didn't know how powerful they were, okay? They didn't know that everybody in this world is born with a purpose. No matter what your environment looks like, you still have a purpose. Gifted he was, not even knowing how to read. And especially, imagine this, at 17 years old, not knowing how to read, what hope is there for you? Because if you don't know how to read or write, you can't get a job. You don't have role models in your life. You don't have anyone pushing you to want better, to do better. So what other outlook is there back in those days? These days it's different. These days, the ones that were back then are in their 40s, and they're having children. They had kids, and their kids are either teenagers or they are, you know, in college or adults, and they have the internet. They have their own mindset, and they live their lives different than how we lived ours. They go out to get what they want. Some of them. Now, you still have a lot of them that are still in the low poverty areas that still feel like there is no outlet, because every time they try to go forward, something in their environment keeps pulling them back in. And that was the same way with this young man. He said that he always got off until this time. And he went to prison, and in prison he taught himself, I think he was there for 5 years. Within 5 years he taught himself how to read and how to write. But he taught himself on his own terms, because he could not understand how to sound out vowels and consonant and all of that. So what he did, he just memorized what the word, once he learned the word, he memorized it, and he put it in a certain way that he was able to teach himself how to read. And it may not be the norm, but it worked for him. And that's one thing. And the reason why I chose this subject tonight is because I want you to understand, and I hope you're Googling this guy right now, but I want you to understand that no matter what, we are so gifted, we are so talented. We come into this world with so many energies. And once again, I'm going to say that, as you know, my name is Cynthia, and I am a numerologist, a self-taught numerologist, but I'm not an advocate for numerology. I only use it to explain to you and help you understand the deep soul level of yourself, the deep soul level, and help you understand that what happened to you, what has happened to you, and where your life is today, there is a meaning to it all. And everything that has happened is a learning, and it's an opportunity for you to excel and go up to the next level. And I know I said that kind of jumbled up, but truly, if you know that your energies that you have, and we all have these different energies, we all have pretty much the same, but all of us are different, but we all have 1 through 9 or energies, and we all either are, and some of us are masters, 11, 22, 33, and if you don't know what those are, please go look at some of my live videos and you will understand what I mean by those numbers. But using your birthday and your date of using your date of birth and your name will let you know the energies that you have within. And I can help you understand. If you want to have a session with me, I can help you understand how those energies played a part into your life today, or past life, or even your past, not past lives, but your past. Okay, I can help you understand why things happened the way they happened. And I can help you understand that even though those things happen, you are still an amazing person, and how to get through those things and overcome the hurt, the guilt, the shame, the resentment, so you can go on and fulfill your life purpose for this lifetime. Okay, so let's get back to Curtis. Okay, so Curtis taught himself how to read and write. Curtis taught himself how to read financials. He taught himself financials. And the first thing that he said when he started looking at the newspaper, he asked his friend, hey Corey, he asked his friend in prison, he said, what is the stocks? What is this financial page? He said, you don't know what that is? He said, man, that's where all the white people hide their money. So when he said that, money, because he've always had this knowledge of how to get money, how to manipulate people, how to get what he wants. And more than likely, he has an 8 in his chart. He's either born on the 8th, or he's born on the 17th, or he's born on the 26th, or his life path, total sum of his date of birth is 8, 17, or 26, which is all equal to 8, okay? And I can assure you that, and I wish I knew what his date of birth is, and I actually think I'm gonna write him and find out all this information, or go visit him. I don't know, but we'll see. But he knew how, he was very smart but wasn't smart. Okay, he was very smart, but he was street smart. But he was head smart, but he never had the confirmation that he was head smart. He never had anyone to tell him, man, you know, you're a genius. Until he was in prison for 20 years. And then all of this stuff started happening. He started learning, teaching himself how to read. He learned financials. He started, even the warden pulled him in the office and said, hey man, I see what you're doing. And the first time that the warden pulled him in the office after 20 years, and actually he's been in prison for 22 years now. But a few years ago, he went to, he went there. And the warden said, "What is that smell? You mean you smoke?" Now he was smoking weed in prison. And by the way, before he got all this financial knowledge, he was selling drugs in prison. Just the same thing that he was doing on the outside of prison. Believe it or not, you can do this stuff while you're on the other side, okay? So when he discovered financials, life took a different turn for him. He started doing things much different. The interest was different. And one thing that he said, and I want to quote him, he said, when he learned how to read, he learned how to see the world. He learned how to have a conscience, and he learned how to have emotions. When he learned how to financials, he learned how to, that people put their money where their emotions go. And he developed emotions just by that. And then he realized that people, all those people who he had robbed and did all these things to, that he felt bad. All of that stuff came down on him. And he said even after he did a TED Talk, he was depressed. Okay, imagine having all of this success, people all around the world writing you these letters because they found out that you are in the prison, and you have this financial knowledge that you taught yourself. You have your own way of doing things, and it's working. But he was depressed, and the reason why he was depressed because he had no one to talk to about all that stuff that he had done to other people, and he started having the feelings behind it and the emotions. And so the warden pulled him in the office, okay, and the warden smelled marijuana on him, that he had been smoking weed, and his pants was hanging low. And he told him, "I have an opportunity for you, but you need to go get yourself cleaned up. You got 3 hours to get yourself." And I don't know how, when you're high, there's a time frame on how you can clean yourself up. But he told him that you need to go get yourself together, go get yourself cleaned up. And if you're not back here in 3 hours, so I can give you this opportunity, then you're going to be in the hole for 30 days. Or I know he didn't say 30 days. He said for the duration of your stay here. So he ran that course and got cleaned up because he wondered, what is this opportunity? And so the warden told him, "I want you to teach other people in here financial literacy." And his thought was, I can't teach people. They're not going to listen to me. They know what I've been doing in here. They know I've been selling drugs and doing that stuff in here. But he, of course, didn't tell the warden that. But he was like, they're not going to listen to me. He said, it doesn't matter if they're going to listen to you. I'm giving you an order to go teach them financial literacy. And that is the reason why everybody around the world, and I wouldn't say everybody because everybody don't know about him, but majority, a lot of journalists, a lot of rich people in Silicon Valley, they know who he is. And the reason why they know who he is because all these articles has been written about him. Because he know what he is talking about. And imagine that. Imagine his past. Do you think that he would have ever thought that he would be at this point where he is? And not only that, the beauty part of all of this is that, and I'm making good time tonight, the best part of all of this is the laws has changed since he's been in prison. The laws has changed. And because of this law called SB 260, he is up for parole in 2020. In 2020. And the reason why this live tonight is so dear to my heart, and I don't know who I was watching, is because we have an opportunity to have another person that is out of the system, that can get out of the system, and can go back into the community or live his life. But he still have a opportunity to teach other people about financial literacy, to show kids who came from a life where he was, that he is their hero. That here I am, you can look at my life and see what I have done. Don't do what I did, but know that just because your environment is like this and society say that you're a product of your environment, look at me and see that that's not true. And that's what I want everybody to understand. This spiritual conversation that I am having with you is to let you know, no matter what you are doing today, and you feel like it's not what you want to do, and you feel like it's not enough, and you feel like, you know, there's more out there for you, that this calling is for you, and that's because the calling is calling you. And this kid did it, and didn't even go to college, didn't have a professional person to teach him anything. He taught himself. He wrote his own rules. We all are born special. And you have to know, not only do you have to know, but you got to teach your kids. You got to let your kids know. There's time to stop walking around like we are oblivious to what's going on in this world. It's time to stop walking around like we feel like all this is a physical world. And when we step outside our house, that's it. Beyond the stars, that's nothing but the galaxy, and that's it. And we would never be able to get there or get around here. It's time to know that you're in it, that you have the power. You have the power. You have the power within to do whatever the calling is calling for you to do. Whether you have the education or not, whether you have a bunch of children or not, whether you are married or not, you have the opportunity. Yes, definitely have to give our kids the knowledge. That's right. You have to give your kids the knowledge, because it's time for us to stop walking around blindsided. And that's one of the biggest things is we want to go back and look at the past. We want to look at the past, and we want to glorify how the white man did the slaves and how this, and when I say glorify, I mean like keep bringing it up, okay? But one thing I'm going to tell you that Farrakhan has not told you, that your preacher has not told you, that society has not told you, that probably something you have not read about, I'm going to give you some information right here, and I hope that you're listening. Majority of those slaves that died, million slaves or more than 1 million, that died, came over, ancestors or what have you, they have been reincarnated. Okay? So you don't have to keep mourning the lives of the slaves from 400 years ago, 1,000 years ago. They have been reincarnated at some point. They're given another opportunity, because one thing about it, if we do not live out this purpose that we chose in heaven, okay, this purpose, this life purpose, we will come back until we get our gifts to this earth. We have to. There's nothing that's undone, unfinished. I don't care if it's your grandmother, your great-grandmother, if they had a life purpose and they did not live out their life purpose, they've been reincarnated. They may not be reincarnated right now, but it's coming. Or they could be here. They could be your children. So you have to wrap your mind around some things that you've never heard before. And just because you've never heard about it does not mean that it does not exist. Just because you never heard about it does not mean that it's not real. We need to stop going back to the past. We have so much ahead of us. We need to stop saying life is short, because life is long. And I'm going to tell you, you can have 2,000 plus years, 2,000 plus lives that you have lived on in past lives, and you don't even know about it. So the term, and whoever coined that term, life is short, give it back to them and allow them to have a short life, because your life is long. It's long. And I'm telling you, if you don't live out your purpose, your life purpose, and you don't ask the right questions to God to find out what it is, or you don't answer to the beat in your chest, because that's where the Spirit of God lives, right here in the center of right here in the center. And if you don't answer to that calling, then you want to work all your life and then retire and then do all this, and if you don't, are you one of the ones who just won't answer to the call? You're going to be reincarnated to come back. Just because you was good to people, that does not mean you have fulfilled your life purpose. So we need to stop living in the past, and we need to live current and for the future. Period. Okay? And And the reason why this story is so important to me is because this kid had crackhead parents, uncles, everybody he knew in the neighborhood was on crack. He was selling crack. But the gift that God gave him, and you think that he gave it to him only, he gave it to all of us. He gave it to all of us. Everybody. And just so happened, we just got a few that jumped out of the matrix. We got Will Smith, we got Oprah, we got Beyonce, we got whomever else. Basketball, football. But that's still not enough. We have enough talent, and everybody should be living in abundance. And there should be no reason why we're still killing each other, why we still are running around here not knowing what to do, not knowing how to get yours. And if you are one of the ones that's still holding on to some resentment and some things that you should have let go a long time ago, that's the reason why you have not gotten what you want. And you're looking at everybody else. I know, I'm too passionate about what it is, how I feel. I'm so passionate about our community knowing more than what you're going to church to know, more than what your parents have taught you, more than what you learned from your grandmother. They didn't know. Stop getting advice from them. They don't know. They didn't know. They cannot advise you on current things today. They cannot. Certain things, but they cannot advise you on the things that you need to do to let stuff go. Because it's not enough to just say let go. You have to know the reasons why you should let these things go, and why these things that you're holding on to are holding you back and adding more karma to your destiny. This kid did not have a future, he thought. He thought his world that he knew was an opportunity. He said, everybody that I rob is an opportunity. It's not a crime, it's an opportunity. Imagine that. Imagine thinking that when you rob someone, that's an opportunity. When you kill someone, that's an opportunity. It's heartbreaking. I want to be able to go to every city and talk to every child or talk to everybody who is struggling. It's all an illusion, people. It's an illusion. Fear. All of this stuff is an illusion, and we get so caught up. And some of us are still stuck at Nipsey Hussle. We're still stuck there. We're still stuck a month ago. We don't know how to move past stuff. We're still posting pictures, and that's fine to do that, but don't stay there. There is more Nipsey Hussles in this community, in this world, that's of our color. And true enough, color don't even matter. And I had to learn that, okay? Because first of all, if color mattered, then God would be in certain one of us. God would just be in white people. If color mattered, you think about it like this. If color really mattered, then why is the Spirit of God in all of us? Okay, you say, Cynthia, you're right. I heard this. The Spirit of God is in all of us. Then why do we suffer? Why do we suffer? Have you ever asked yourself, why did I suffer? Why did my parents suffer? Do you know your parents' date of birth? Do you know what their birthday mean? Perhaps they could have had a past life, and this life brought on new karma. Could have been that their past life, that they abused someone, that they were white in their past life, and this life they came back black. Could it be that all those slaves that died came back as white people? We don't know. To have the understanding to know that there's always a reason why. And it has nothing to do with the white man. Because the only thing that they're doing is wearing their shell as well. And we give them the power. We give the police officers the power, because how I teach my children in my household, all police officers love us and we love all police officers. That's what I say. And the reason why I say that, because you know why? You can't change people. You have to accept them as where they are in their life. but I can protect myself. And I can protect my karma. And what they do and how they treat has nothing to do with me. However, there is a reason why they feel like they feel, and they operate on the negative side. And yes, you can do that. But that does not mean that that's going to change who I am. You're not, because you operate like that, because you're like that, there will not be a reason for me to change my character and change my destiny because you're acting a fool. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so what else do I want to say about this kid? He taught himself how to read, and his thing now is education is key. And he is so right. Education is key. Some of us can be self-taught. He was self-taught, but look what he had to go through to get there. And imagine. And you know what? And I don't even want you to imagine. Don't imagine how his life would have been, because his life, the way it was exactly how it was supposed to be. Don't feel sorry for him. His life is exactly how it's supposed to be. Because if his life was not like that, he would not have the story to tell. There's always a reason why. There's always a reason why. Just ask the right questions. And don't come across as a victim, because you will get nowhere as a victim. There's always a way. God is a fair God. And of course, they teach you that in church. God is a fair God. God doesn't punish. No, he doesn't. But guess what? He is a fair God. And if you did something in your past life that affected someone, and you still have that soul connection to that person, you're going to repeat the next life, and you just may come in contact with that person. That person may be your child, or that person just may be your mother, or father, or grandmother, or the police officer that's going to wreak all this havoc on you. We don't know. But I'm telling you that you have soul connection with people. In this life, in past life, and in future lives. You have soul connections. And it goes much deeper than this physical world. And so what happened with this kid was supposed to happen. Now, he could have stopped some of that. He did not have to go and kill, but God never gave up on him. The gift was never taken away. Because you know how as a little girl, I was taught that you do this, you're going to hell. You do this, you're going to hell. And I know that I wasn't the only one thinking like, well, shit, if I'm going to hell for kissing somebody, what the hell these folks over here who done terrorize all these black people? What? Because that's crazy thinking. And majority of black people don't succeed in life because of the programs and all of this talk that they was raised to believe. And some of us don't even know how to shed the layers of programming. And it's a shame, because we play over and over in our minds of what happened. Over and over and over what happened, instead of looking at it a different way. If you are stuck today, the doors of the church is open. Okay? If you are stuck today, and there is something that has been inside of you, today is the day to ask the questions why. DM me, get a session with me. I do a 20-minute free session to see if this is something that you want to go further with, and then I charge not 100 yet, but $75 an hour. But get a session with me and find out, is there something that you are missing? It's not enough to keep going and say, you know what, I forgave that stuff a long time ago, but guess what? It's still in there. It's still in there. You have to release it, and you have to know never to pick it up again. Never to pick it up again. Again, he told himself that robbing white people was an opportunity, and that white people and police officers were the enemy. We all been told that. We all believe that. But white people and police officers are not the enemy, people. We are the enemy within. Because as much as we send out, we get it back. And it just keep going on and on and on and on. And it never ends. And if you don't, and the thing is, you can release these soul connections that you have with people so you won't repeat it the next life. Aren't you ready to go live in the tapestry of heaven and not have to keep repeating? Of course not, because you know what? You don't even know that you're repeating because nobody ever taught you none of this stuff. And they never taught you what your name means. And I told a friend of mine the other night that when I started spirituality teaching and studying, I was reading books back from 1879, 1910, and 1920. And believe it or not, they had books out there about how to bring abundance in your life. And not only did they have books, but they had proof. They had people who was becoming millionaires in 1879. And if you don't believe me, you go back up there and you pull the article written that's called The Acres of Diamonds. And it has a lot to do with Africa, but it's called The Acres of Diamonds. And I cannot remember his name. He has like a black name too, but I cannot remember his name. But he said that he was back in 1879. People, get your mind wrapped around this. He had a stadium of people, 1879, stadium of ministers, to tell them stop preaching about people need to stop drinking and doing drugs. Go research it for yourself. He said you need to be teaching abundance. You need to let people know that they can have everything out here. Do you think there was any black ministers in that arena in 1879? Do you think that any of these books that was written in 1910 and 1920 they had black people understanding how to read them? No. We didn't get the message then. We didn't get the message. We're not getting the message now. Some of us is getting the message. And some of us thinking that we could still be like this and stay stuck. There are books that I have in my house right now from 1910. And on my laptop, I have books from 1800s with talking about abundance. And how easy it is to manifest what you want, because you are powerful and you are made up of energy. And so I bring you guys here tonight with me because I want you to do a favor. Do me a favor and help me make sure that Curtis Carroll is released from prison at 20. And how we can do that, we use a thing called mind power, okay? And this mind power, everybody has it. And I'm going to let you know how you have it, because if you're thinking about someone and you run across something that reminds you of somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, and then all of a sudden they call you or they reach out to you on Facebook, or they send a message to someone else to get to you, that's mind power. It's not a coincidence. We all have the power within. We all have mind power. We all have energy power. And so what we can do, whoever watching this now, or you'll be watching it during the replay, and if you do watch this during the replay, make sure you hit replay, hashtag replay in the comment section so I know that you've watched it. But we can send white balls, shoot out in our minds for Curtis Carroll, aka Wall Street, aka the Oracle of San Quentin, for him to be released. We send out these white balls out of our mind. We just shoot them out of our mind. We just imagine and visualize. And if you don't want to know what he looks like, all you got to do is go Google. And you shoot out these white balls and you ask for him to be released. I see it. You will be released from prison in 2020. You will be released. Carroll, you will be released from prison in 2020. I send healing and blessings your way. It's just that simple. You don't even have to say it. You could just use your mind and say it. You don't have to know him, but guess what? He will feel the vibrations, and we can overturn the system. It doesn't matter what's written. It doesn't matter what law says. It doesn't matter what somebody else says. We have the power just like that to change anything. Anything. And no, I'm not on a platform. I don't have TD Jake's platform. And I don't have somebody else who, you know, I can never think of anybody when I need to think of somebody. Joyce Meyer's platform. But I have this right here. I'm giving you this information. And if you don't believe me, just give it a try. Just give it a try that you have the mind power and you can set him free. And we can get him out of prison in 2020. Just by shooting white balls of blessings and healing his way to say release from prison. And I don't mean, you know, God, please release, you know, release him, Lord, please, in Jesus' name. You know, you don't have to do all that. You have the power. We have the power. God is within. God will come through you and will hear your message and you can send it out. We need to get this guy out of prison. We need to use our mind power to set him free, to get him free, because he will be a very good person in our community that can teach children financial literacy. Not only can teach children, but can show them a different perspective on life. Yes, from behind the bars, the warden is rich. All these other people who are listening to his podcast, listen to what he's saying about these talks, they're getting rich. He's getting rich while he's in prison. This guy is so smart, and I know he's an 8. But he's so smart because he said, while you guys are in this prison and you buying all these junk food, I'm taking my money and I'm putting them on penny stocks. We have the power. We need to stop going back to the past. I love Martin Luther King. I love everything that he has done for us, but Martin Luther King is not here today. We got his statue. We got his day. But there are millions of Martin Luther King, Nipsey Hussles, Malcolm X, Rosie Parks, Betty Shabazz, all these people that are right here that don't know their gifts, that are afraid to step out. Imagine that. Afraid to step out. Knowing they have the calling, I was afraid to step out. Shit, you know, as I told you on Sunday night, I kept pushing my children. Pushing my children to do YouTube and do all these great things. Have a travel show. My oldest son, who's pre-med, to have a travel show. When the calling was within me. But I was trying to ignore the calling because I felt like I didn't have what it took to get out here and do this. And all along, God was like, hey, you got everything you need. You get out there and I put the people in front of you. And I'm like, you know, but I can't do this. And what if I stumble over my words? And what if things just don't come out right? And what if, you know, they don't understand me? And what if this just don't seem right to them? And what if they just so stuck in their ways? Just do it anyway. And so I quit my job back in January. Matter of fact, 84 days before January, I made the commitment that I was going to quit my job and sell my books and my son's book full time. And go out and talk about manifestation and abundance and how all these miracles happen in my life. And how, I mean, miracles, like, every day I'm like, what? Wait, what are you talking to me? Really? That? You giving me this and that? It was so much going on. I could not process it. So I put it in a book. And I'm not a writer. But the story was there. I could not, it's 88 pages of truth. And if you want my book, go to Defining Life Path, www.defininglifepath.com. You can get a paperback copy for $15.99. It will do you some good. And I know you probably got everybody under the sun's book, but if you really want to see modern day miracles and not just something that people are talking about, but you want to actually witness modern day miracles, get my book, Numbers, Angels, and God. Okay? So we can do this mind power, guys. This kid, he's not a kid anymore. He's 42 years old now. He's been in prison for 22 years. In 2020, he has an opportunity to get out of prison because the laws has changed since he went into prison. SB 260 is the new law that would allow him to go up for parole, to the board or something like that. I don't know jail talk, but and he can go up for parole, and he will have the opportunity to be set free. And while we're sitting here mourning the life of Nipsey Hussle, we have someone that's here and today that can still make a difference in our community. We need to make differences, and you need to tell people about energy. And if you don't know how to tell them, then send them my way, and I will tell them. You don't turn this live off and then go to bed and then still don't know who you are tomorrow. It doesn't make sense. If I'm sitting here and I'm telling you, DM me, go to my website, get you a 20-minute free call with me. Get yourself the opportunity. If you don't want it for yourself, then get it for your children. Allow your children to know their energy, their gifts, their characteristics that they were born with. It's not enough to know your zodiac sign. That means nothing. Well, in a way, it means something, but it does not tell you who you are within. It doesn't tell you the lessons that you're going to run up against. And your zodiac sign surely does not tell you why you went through the things that you went through in your childhood. The kind of things that you don't want to tell nobody about. There's always a reason why. There's always a reason why. And if you talk to me, I will help you understand how you can get to that reason. So you can let that stuff go. And you can disconnect those soul contracts from these people. And you're able to go live your life. And even if you have to repeat this life, at least you don't have to be connected to them all over again. And suffer the pain all over again. And so with that being said, we need to send white blessing balls to, and like I said, you just do it with your mind. You visualize this guy, and you just visualize white balls shooting out of your mind to him. The vibrations, because we are vibrational. And everything that we radiate out, it needs to be positive, because if it's negative, we're going to get negative back in, and we're going to invite it back to us. If you want to see how powerful you are, let's do this together. And let's get Curtis Carroll free for 2020. He's up for parole. He will be a product that we need in the community, and that can stand up and say, just because my life was like this, I changed it. I became who I was supposed to be in prison. I taught myself how to read. I taught myself stocks. I taught myself how to look at the stocks in the newspaper. I taught myself how to buy stock. He buys stock in prison, and he teach everybody else how to do it. And not only does he teach them, he teach Silicon Valley. He did a TED Talk. He did so many things behind bars. Why did he do that? And like I explained last night, no matter what path you are on and you think you got it good, I got it good. I make this much money. My kids are good. I'm working every day. And if you still got that beat in your heart that's saying do this, and you ignored it, you're not doing good. Because at some point, you're going to have to live out your life purpose. At some point, you're going to have to discover why you're here and what you need to give back to this planet. It's much deeper than the physical world. It's much deeper than just saying, I love Jesus. Because you saying I love Jesus don't change your soul. It doesn't change the karma. You have to understand so you will not create more karma, future karma. I know a whole lot of people who love Jesus go to church, but they still got a whole lot of hell in them. And they still can go to work and tell somebody off and just like that. And not think that they're going to suffer the consequences. These days in life are changing. The universe is changing. And with that being said, karma is showing up more and more. And no matter how much we want to hate somebody, dislike them, we still have to be accountable of our emotions. We still have to be accountable of how we treat and use our soul. And if we're not healing the soul, if we're not paying attention to why we are here and taking care of this, we will repeat the cycle again in another lifetime. And you can say, I don't want to hear that kind of talk. I don't ignore it. You ignore it all you want. Because you ignoring it does not mean it's not going to happen. It does not mean it won't happen. And if you're one of the ones who are advocate and out there telling your children to hate police officers and white people, oh, my bendy phone, and that white people are all bad, let's get the crap out of me, and that white people are bad, if you're one of the ones, then you're sending your children down the wrong path. And not only you're sending your children down the wrong path, you're still going down the wrong path. You got to turn the news off. The news is a persuasion mechanism to keep you stuck. To keep you stuck. I'm telling you. And preacher, no preacher. A lot of them don't know. They don't open up their minds and understand what's going on. So they don't know what's going on. They don't get involved in that part of it. Because if they give you too much, then you have too much power and you won't need them. You can form your own Bible study. We all have the same discernment inside. We all have the same message. The message is different for all of us, but we all get the same beat of the message. He ain't gonna give it to somebody else or tell somebody else to give you permission to do something and he don't give it to you. I'm not gonna beat the drum of religion, okay? Because, you know, we can go all day long and that's not my job. Because you can have spirituality and religion all together, but what my job is to wake you up. And if you listen to me on Sunday night, and I gave you 5 reasons why people come into your life. 5 reasons why certain people show up in your life. And if you're listening to me today, whether you came in and you left out, there's a reason. You may have somebody stuck in prison. You may be going through some things. Your kids may be going through a lot of times, half the time, I have to tell people what type of children they have and why they acting out like they are. It's the energy. It's the energy. And if you don't understand energy, how the heck you going to explain it to why they feel like they feel? You can't. You have to get educated because life's still going on and we are still 300 years behind. And I don't know where the 300 came from, but it sounds good. 300 years behind. Because in 1800s and in the early 1900s, they was talking about abundance then. And we were not included. And we got the Jesus book. And we got fear from the Jesus book. Or from God book. The Bible. But we never got the abundance book. We got fear. And there is no spirituality people out here walking around with fear. Because fear is an illusion. And I used to be the ones that say, I don't fear none but God. And now that sounds so stupid. Why would you need to fear God? And God is within. And if you're fearing God, you're fearing yourself. Because heaven and hell is within, and that's why people can turn so evil. You think that these people don't have a conscience? And I just told you about the story of Curtis, how he never had a conscience because he thought he was raised in poverty, that police officers and white people were the enemy. And that white people were opportunities because they have it all. And you can go take what they have because they have it all and they have enough to get by. And they can get it again. Instead of being taught by the church in the community that you can have it all. The same energy, the same blood that's running through somebody else's veins is the same thing running through you. God, the Spirit of God is within you as well. And that's why you see why people backslide, as they say. Because you're still thinking about a God in heaven. And it's easy to backslide when you think that you're not walking around with this God here. Now the God within, more than likely, is dormant for most people. It's like the Spirit of God is asleep. Because you have not connected with him and you wonder why I don't hear him, I don't feel him. I'm doing what everybody else doing. I'm jumping up and I'm crying and I'm doing this and I'm saying I'm sorry. Please forgive me, and I'm still holding on to the guilt and I'm still holding on to the shame because God don't love me and I'm fearing God because I'm not being blessed. That's not why you're not being blessed. You're not being blessed because you're telling yourself you don't deserve a blessing. You think you're going to get a blessing after you told yourself many times that what you don't deserve? Why would you get anything? If I'm telling myself I don't deserve this and I'm visualizing all the hurt and the shame and what I did, I'm steady visualizing this picture all over and over, and I'm the one who is creating my own karma. I'm creating my own destiny by the words that I am telling myself. And you are doing the exact same thing. Now, you may not be telling yourself that, but you are telling yourself something. If you are still stuck in a situation, or you don't have what you want, or you don't know how to get what you want, and you thinking going to work is the only way that you're going to be able to get and have what you want. I see it all the time. I got to go get a job. I got to go get a job. I got to go do this. I got to do that. Because you don't know the power you have within, and all you have to do is visualize what you want, stay and have a definite desire for what you want and knowing what you want, and your desire is the same level as your vibration. Now you can't say I want this, but then you down here with your negativity and talking about people and white folks are evil and I can't stand them. You can't be down here and your desire is here, because you will not manifest anything. Your desire and your vibration have to hit neck and neck. High vibration, radiating. Okay, guys. Okay, so help me get this kid, this man, Curtis Carroll, free from prison by 2020. And all you have to do is use your mind power and tell yourself, visualize him and say, Curtis, I send you healing and blessings that you will be released from prison in 2020. And don't talk about what I want you to go do now. I didn't add that part. Don't say, and I want you to go to the neighborhoods and Oakland and Chicago, and I want you to change the world. Because he doesn't need that much pressure on him. He'll have to live his life and smell life. He's been in there for 22 years. And he has enough footage out there where you can use that to educate your children on who he is. And show them. Yes, you're going somewhere, but even if you was not going somewhere, you are still blessed. You came into this world, baby, with energies. And your name, and check this out, your date of birth and your name, you chose those in heaven. Because you said, with this name, this date of birth, and these parents, I'm going to come back in this shell, and this is the purpose that I have to fulfill while I'm here. So you have a purpose, and you are blessed, and you have everything that you want. You can have it. Matter of fact, as children can start manifesting right now. That's how I'm in my house, because of my 11-year-old said he wanted a house when I never even thought that I could afford a house. It never crossed my mind. Because why? Because I didn't know anybody who had bought a house as a single mom and was still making it with the son in college, in medical. I thought as a single mom, my job was to struggle, because that's how it is written. It's written for me to struggle. It's set up like that for me to have it hard. Yeah, I'm glad. Research him. His story is amazing. He's still in prison, but because of the new laws, he can get out. He can go up for parole next year in 2020 because of a new law called SB 260. This is a man who went into prison at 17. He's now 42. He was illiterate, and all he knew when he went in prison, that still white people and police officers were the enemy. He was still blaming them, not taking accountability of none of the stuff that he had done. And he thought the reason why I did all this because I didn't have a chance, because I was not given a chance. Because everybody was on drugs, everybody struggled, and that's how they were supposed to be. And so I had to go get I had to go out and get what I wanted. And it sounds crazy today in 2019, but that's how, and even some places still think like that. Even, I don't even want to say it, but I'm going to get my message out, and I'm going to be able to go out, and I'm going to stand out on the stage, and I'm going to talk to people. And I want to empower people to understand how spirituality can help you become the greatest self. It could set your soul free of pain, of fear, of depression. This kid was depressed. Out of all of these TED Talks and interviews from people all around the world, he even did Vlad TV, all of this stuff, he still became depressed. Why? Because he realized God loves me, you know, and not only that, I was born for a purpose. I was born for a reason. And I wish I had his date of birth so I can show you how it works, like I did with Michael Jordan and all these other people. But you gotta reach out to this man. You have to send your mind power, your blessings to him. And if you one of those churchy people, pray. But the reason why I don't want you to go the church route, because oftentimes when we pray, we're judgmental. And we tell God what we put on somebody else's life, what we want for their person. And that's not your job. Your job is to just bless him to be released from prison, so he can go out and do good in the neighborhoods, in the communities.